Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, May the 10th. It's a beautiful sunny day in the city of Kawartha Lakes. We are calling the meeting to order for the Community Pandemic Recovery Task Force. The package was circulated in advance, so hopefully everyone had a chance to review it. I'd like to call for a motion to adopt the agenda as circulated, unless anyone has any changes or additions. Councillor Elmsley. And then we'll go to Councillor Dunn. Oh, for the motion. Yes, thank you. I thought you were adding a change or an addition. If Councillor Elmsley would like to make the motion and Councillor Dunn can second. And all in favor? Linda, unless otherwise, because you've called in, we'll assume you're all in favor.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, I'm in favor.
Okay. So the motion is carried. If anyone has has to declare a pecuniary interest, please do so now. And if one arises throughout the meeting, please do so at that time. Moving on to the adoption of the previous minutes. I hope everyone had a chance to review them and have a quick memory of what happened. It's been a little while since we have had our last meeting. So I'd like to call for a motion to approve the minutes as circulated. Amy, Councillor Richardson, second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Thank you. Reviewing the minutes, there was no business arising, just as I was looking through. So we'll move on to number 6. Amy, did you want to move ahead with your working group update?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So we've been working on the learning opportunities that will be shared. Everybody knows we've had a couple of very successful workshops already that have been undertaken. There were most recently the innovation workshops. There were 2 of them, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. Brenda would have given us the registration numbers. I know the second one was larger than the first one. I took part in one of them, and one of my staff took part in the second one, and we both found them very informative. And I know there was a lot of good discussion, and they were very well facilitated by Brenda. And my understanding is, I know certainly in our cases, there was some tools that I think were new to us and that we're going to be able to take away and use in the future. And I'm sure everybody felt the same way. It seemed to be very positive. But we do have, we're working now on some additional learning opportunities based on the needs that had been identified last year. So our next series will be delivered by Pinghua. And I don't know how many people are familiar with Pinghua. They do a great deal of work for children and youth in terms of digital training, but also more and more adults. They have some excellent skills in their team in terms of app development and other things that we aren't taking advantage of at this time, but certainly, hopefully people will get introduced to Pinghua through these workshops, and there might be greater opportunities for different organizations down the road. They'll do a lot of custom training and engagement as well. But the 4 topics that we've identified as our next 4, we'll start, the first one will be on May 19th between 1 and 3 p.m. And it will be an overview of virtual meeting platforms. So really digging into some of the how-tos in terms of virtual meetings, the different platforms available. This training will take place on Zoom, so that of course is one of the specific platforms. but they'll have a general overview of others as well, and some of the different merits, and as I say, some of the more nuanced ways to use the platforms. So that's the first one. The second one will be on digital literacy and online safety, which is, of course, really important for organizations that are working with clients. We have to make sure that what we're delivering online is safe and respects privacy, etc. So that will be the second one. Then a third one, introduction to social media for those who require some of those just kind of social media 101 skills. And then the fourth one, graphic design with Canva. And this is, Canva is a program that is extremely accessible. So for organizations that don't employ a graphic designer or don't have the resources to hire someone to do graphic design for them, Canva is a really easy program to use. And so that'll be the fourth one that is offered in that series. The marketing will be collaboratively done between the city and Pingwa, so they will support getting the word out, but we'll use some of the original tools that we've used in the past, so directly sending it to some of those who've participated in the past and are on that original list, as well as using Jumping Portha Lakes. And then the registrations will be handled right through the Zoom link, which is what Brenda did in the past. So that's the next thing on the agenda. We also are working on a mental health workshop for employees and volunteers, and Marina is taking the lead on organizing that with an individual that provides service to the family health team right now. So that will come together as well. Those are the next 5 we have on our agenda, and I'm happy to answer any questions or take any feedback about those next steps.
That sounds amazing. Great work on that group. Glad to hear that the innovation one, the most recent ones were well attended, and there was lots of good information. So it's starting the momentum for the next round of all the technology-based ones. Did anyone have any further questions or wanted to provide any feedback for Amy?
Hi, Heather. Can I just ask a quick question around workshop evaluation? It's Linda.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just curious if there's been some evaluations built into the workshops, Amy, as we go. So I don't know if Brenda, because I didn't attend the innovation ones, if there were some evaluations done at the time or sent out after, or if PINYAC is building those into their workshops, or if we should be providing them, or if we've considered that.
Hi, Linda. I'm trying to remember if I filled out an evaluation of the innovation workshop. I don't remember doing that, but I might have. That doesn't mean that I didn't do it. So certainly something that we can look into, though. There are easy ways to do that, and I think it's a great idea. So, and I see that as potentially, assisting when we're going into a series like this. Then evaluation after the first one can help to improve the subsequent workshops. So I'll ask that that be done somehow between either the city or Pingwa.
Okay, thanks, Amy. And if on that evaluation, there's some great, really easy Google Docs that can be done. But if a question can just be added around, are there any other training needs you feel you have? Then that's just a quick way for us to garner a bit more feedback moving forward.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Amy, what are the dates of the upcoming, or sort of the time frame for the PWA workshops?
I'm trying to remember if we decided bi-weekly. I know the first one is May 19th.
Okay, so soon.
Yeah, so May 19th, I think we were discussing early afternoons, so 1 to 3 p.m. But I can't recall if we decided to make them bi-weekly after that or weekly, sorry.
Okay, yeah, relatively soon, so that's good. Thanks. Is there anything else for Amy with regards to the upcoming workshops, or any suggestions for the next round of potential workshops? Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you. Just a question on the non-profit organizations. How do we advertise this? I know we try and get the word out, but there's a few non-profit organizations that maybe don't know about this or aren't aware of it. But how are we getting the word out? Like, what are you finding is the most effective way of getting the word out, the marketing of this, basically, of these workshops, and how these people can tap into sources of funding right now?
So we have been we had an original list of or 80 or 90 organizations on that list. So we would go back to that original list and share it with them directly, and then jump in Kawartha Lake. Some of them have registered to jump in because they've either filled out our surveys or participated in a prior workshop. But I think, I know certainly myself, and I think Heather and Linda and Marina have also actively shared these things with our networks as well. And I would encourage everybody on the committee to do so. So Councillor Ashmore, if there are organizations in your area or throughout the city of Kawartha Lakes that you know about, once you see the communications come from the city, I would encourage you to share it.
Okay, so the communications not only will come from the city, but will come from yourself as chair, as co-chair, to us as a group?
No, it would come from the city. So we don't typically, I would just take it from the city and then send it to organizations that I know could benefit. And I would suggest you do the same. So the communications is being handled collaboratively between the city and Pingwa. So Pingwa will amplify what the city does, but we'll receive the communications directly from the city.
All right, thanks.
Fantastic. Moving on to the community fund report. I've co-chaired the community fund working group. So just as an update, on April 19th, council approved the recommendation for the second round for the balance of the reserve funds that were allocated to the pandemic recovery fund. So there's a total of $49,162.48 available within this round, to a maximum of $7,500 per applicant. So this round will also be limited to eligible organizations outside the geographic boundaries eligible for the Lindsay Chest Fund. This was what we had recommended because there were unallocated funds that the Chest Fund can now roll back into their mandate. So they're able to serve those groups right within Lindsay, within the town line of the Lindsay Chest. The overall criteria for the fund and evaluation process were not changed, and it's still in line with the original intent of the fund in terms of reference. So if anyone is interested in applying for the funds, then they will need to go back to the intent and the application process as it's stated in there. Because the funds are available to those that lie outside the Lindsay Chest Fund area, their representative will not be participating in the second round. The Lindsay Chest will administer the remainder of their funds following their own mandate. So the existing task force members appointed to the review committee that include myself, Marina, Linda, and Councillor Richardson will stay in place for the second round. For awareness, on April 27th, the press release announcing the intake for the second round was shared and is available on the city website and the social platforms. And it was also pushed out through Jump In. The application deadline is May 14th, and the funding announcement will be released by June 4th. So it's really exciting that we're able to have the next round. I would encourage anyone to spread the word to those communities outside of Lindsay, so all of the other communities within the city of Kawartha Lakes. But I would also really encourage you to instruct them to fill out the application properly and answer all the specific questions that are asked, and to ensure that they are in line with the intent of the fund. Those are all really important pieces, as those are what we gauge the success on. So if the questions aren't answered, or if it is not in line with the purpose of the fund, we're not in a position to fund it. So the onus is on the applicant to ensure that they submit an appropriate application to be considered. So we do have a date set for the reviewers after the application deadline. And again, we will release the news of the successful applicants through the city as it had been previously. Did anyone have any questions or further comment to the process of the fund? Councillor Dunn.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question, if in fact there is a shortfall in applications, and probably Rod is even better to ask for it, if there's a shortfall, do we have a plan to come back to council for a shortfall?
I don't know what that would be until we see what is actually applied for.
Okay, all right.
We will discuss that if needed.
All right. Because I just want to put it out there, you know, like if in fact you have more good applicants than you do have money, then I don't think council would be opposed to listening to the question without committing them to anything. So just keep that.
Good to know.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that. I certainly support that moving forward. I have actually had some communication back from some of the recipients that have qualified and will be getting that funding, and they're absolutely over the moon because, you know, it's all about surviving and thriving. And I just want to pass on that everything that is being done is really being recognized in our community. And thank you.
Thank you for the update. It's good to know. Welcome, Marina. We're just wrapping up the recovery fund summary. Did anyone else have anything to add or any questions from beyond what I had shared with regards to the fund? Councillor Ashmore, I know you had just in your question to Amy, you had also asked about funds available. So again, these funds are available for outside the Lindsay Chest Fund area. So if you knew of any organizations, please feel free to reach out and remind them that the application is due on May 14th. So there's still a few days for that. And any organization, any qualifying organization is able to apply.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, Amy.
I just thought I would point out, it probably doesn't need pointing out. I think everybody's aware, but you know, it's important to remember that as the lockdowns or stay-at-home orders extend into this year, you know, it's very different than it was a year ago, in that last year there was a lot of COVID relief available through various sources. You know, we are fortunate that the federal government subsidies, you know, as an example, the wage subsidy has been extended to September. So that's helping certainly organizations to maintain staff or to maintain viability of programs. But I know in our case, you know, a year ago, there were, through our national organization, there were national sponsors that were rallying to support us with COVID relief funds. And, you know, this is a year later, and that just is not the case any longer. So I think it's a really good reminder that the needs have not likely abated in our community. In fact, they might get worse. You know, we all hope that things might be a little more normal by September, but it's starting to look a bit questionable as to whether, you know, some of those usual revenues will recover. Certainly by September, and expenses will continue to be higher than normal due to all of the you know, important things we have to do to maintain safety. So just wanted to share that as a general observation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Amy. Yes, it's so much has changed within the last year. It's really hard to know. It's really hard to know how to go forward. And I know last year when we were talking and when we first started to get together as a task force, it was right about now. And there's a lot of urgency, and yes, a lot of those major supports at national and provincial levels have petered off. There's only so much you know, there's only so much they have. And there's so many, you know, so many requests and angles. So having this fund right now available for those who are still, you know, hanging on is really great. A great opportunity just to, you know, who knows when this is going to be over, and, you know, only time can tell. So it's really great to have the opportunity just to, you know, kind of keep afloat a little bit. So unless, yes, Councillor Dunn.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
just
see
a
your
quick
hand there.
comment. For the Lindsay groups that weren't accepted or didn't apply in time for whatever various reason, just to let you know, the Chess Fund has agreed to receive applications. And if we have to step outside our mandate for expenditures, we'll seek that ourselves directly from, so what I'm trying to say is the Lindsay groups haven't been abandoned. We're still going to listen to them, but we'll take requests for expenditure of the money direct to council to get the authority to do it if and when that happens. So just to let you know, because I did raise the issue at council the last time when the new setup was put into place. So we are still going to look after the Lindsay groups too. So if they have something pops up, just tell them to give us a shout.
So will the chess funds be like a rolling intake, or will there be a set deadline and process as per usual?
I would suspect more along the rolling intake format. We had one group that approached us. We had a meeting, and we've decided to accept the application even though it falls outside our mandate. So what we'll have to do is, if in fact we support it, then we would have to come to council and say, we recognize this isn't what we're mandated to do, but we want to do it anyway, and then council can approve or not approve it. So it would be a rolling thing.
Will the Chess Fund group make the community at large aware of that through a press release so that all the organizations have equal opportunity within Lindsay to know that?
That's not something that was brought up. I thought you were going to ask if we're going to take credit for doing it. And I'm going to say, absolutely, we will.
No,
But
I think just because it's shared here, not every organization will have equal opportunity to learn about that opportunity of a rolling intake. So I would encourage the Chess Fund to release something to allow all organizations who are eligible to know that they can apply ongoing or to reach out and ask the question. They may not know that. They may be waiting for the typical deadline, which is usually in the late fall.
And that's exactly what we planned on doing. We hadn't planned on doing any more pandemic stuff, but we did get an inquiry from a group that applied under a different program and weren't successful, and they're now applying under this program to see if they can have some level of success. So they approached us and asked if we would accept the application. We said certainly, but we haven't advised other groups. So I will touch base with the chair of that committee and see what he wishes to do.
Just ensures it's equitable to all organizations for equal opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree with that. And we just forgot that. That just kind of went over our head because we were dealing with one group. But
To
I will
get
get a hold,
focused on something.
yeah, I'll get a hold of the chair and see what he says. And if we have to call a special meeting to do that, we'll have another special meeting. Thank you for
Thank you for the update.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, stuff slips through the crack, and that's why we have committees to point out the holes. So thank you.
You're welcome. Unless there's anything else to add to the working group updates, we can move on to item number 7 is the roundtable discussion. Did anyone want to share anything? We did sort of cover a little bit of that, but and is there anything else anyone would like to put forth? Seeing none. Just to confirm from Holly and Rod that there has been no correspondence received in the last few days. No, okay. Just moving ahead to item number 9, next meeting. Rod or Holly, do you have any suggestions of next meeting? My thought was it would be after the June 4th and the announcements from the fund, and by then Amy may have some updates on the workshops as well and how they're going.
Yeah, I was going to suggest perhaps the second week of June. By that time, the allocation should be known. Similar to the first round, informational report will go to City Council with the outcome. Depending on the timing, sorry, just looking at my calendar, June 2nd is the committee of the whole meeting. Just not sure whether or not, depending on the timing, if we're ready for that time. Sorry, June 1st. And then June 15th is the regular council. So perhaps for the task force, the week of maybe Monday the 7th or the 14th.
Okay.
The 14th, if we can.
With the show of hands, is everyone available on the 14th? We can just, everyone can get that in their calendar. Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. June, wow, June 14th. Didn't thought, this just seemed like February, just yesterday. All right, June 14th at 10. Holly will put together everything as per usual, and thank you for that, Holly, and keeping us all organized. Unless there's anything else, we can have a race to see who will motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Dunn. Councillor Emsley, thanks. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your day. Thank you all for your updates. Thanks, Amy, for your updates on the workshops. I'm looking forward to hearing how they go.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
I know.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Kathy. We're all finished now.